Well, ain't that the age-old question? Hey guys, welcome to the 3D Animation Hub where we talk all things animation. My name is Brian and today we're going to be answering this age-old question. You know, now that I think about it, it's actually not that old, it's pretty recent. But anyways, we're going to be cutting this up into different categories and giving these points, giving rather college or online animation school points. And whoever has the most amount of points by the end of the video wins. And right before we hop in, let's talk about the sponsor of this week's video. Me. No, I don't actually have a sponsor, but if you do like to support the channel, smash that like button, hit the sub button, stay notified of future animation videos. And I think we also got a Skillshare link down below where you get 2 weeks of premium on Skillshare if you use that link, and you also get access to my jump animation workshop that I made a while back. And if all that tickles your fancy, go check it out and let's hop in. I'm just gonna chill back for this one a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna start this off with college. For college, usually if you want to go into animation school and you're an international student, tuition, accommodation, living, and just existing as an international student for you to go to an international school, it's gonna cost you, I would say, at least $100,000. So that's $100,000 for college. If you want to go to animation school, if you're international. If you're local, then it'll be something around 30 or maybe 40,000 for the whole 4 years. That's a lot of money. And again, especially if you're international. In my opinion, $100,000 for an animation school, you know, animation being a career where you don't make 6 figures until, I don't know, 10 to 15 years of being an animator, and that's maybe. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think $100,000 of debt for you to, you know, to burden yourself with for life, if you don't have your parents helping you, to get a job that pays you, you know, starting out, I don't know, like 40K, then 50K, then 60K, and then, you know, you have to build it up to 6 figures over 10, 15 years. So that weight might be on your shoulders for a little too long for my liking. And so in this case, college does not get a point when it comes to cost. On the other hand, online school would cost a fraction of that. And on top of that, you wouldn't really have to relocate. You know, if it's an online school, you'd be doing it from the comfort of your own home, most likely. So when it comes to cost, we're giving a point to online school. And I made this little cool graphics. Let's pop that. 1 point to online school. So the next point we're going to talk about is skill development. In college, when it comes to skill development, it's a lot more broad. And so it's really good for people who are going in kind of unsure about what they want to do, because what happens in college is that you explore many different disciplines of animation. So you know, you dabble with animation itself, with modeling, rigging, layout, lighting. You touch everything a little bit. And so it's really good if you don't know what you want to do, if you're not quite sure. You go in, you think you want to do one thing, but then, you know, you realize that, you know, you don't want to do animation and modeling is your passion. And otherwise you wouldn't have actually tested modeling out. That's one example. So that's a positive for college. Now then there's a negative side of that to college, because if you already know what you want to do, if you know what your interest is, and you go to college, you're wasting your time like 70-80% of the time. What's happening is you have all these other courses that's not really like an interest to you. It's not going to help you with your future career if you want to focus on one thing. And you know, in college you also have electives, 1 or 2 electives, or maybe more per year, and they may not even be animation related. So that's just a complete floof. That's not needed. That's not something you need to get into animation. And so that becomes a negative for college. So now we got a positive, we got a negative. I'm just going to zero it out. Okay, so another positive of college when it comes to skill development is they're probably going to help you out with your resume. And that's probably not going to be something you get with an online school. So 1 point for college, but on the other hand, when you're in a class of 30 or so people, you might not get the attention you need. And so you might not feel like you're ready for a job right after graduation. And so in my girlfriend's case, she did both. She went to college, a very well-known college here in Canada, and she got her degree, but then afterwards she went and took an online school to focus on her skill, to hone down her skills so she's ready for a job, she's ready to jumpstart her career. And so I kind of see that as a negative, just because she didn't get the attention she needed to feel qualified for a job graduating from animation college. And so I'm gonna give college 1 point here. So we had a few positives, few negatives, but there is some positives to going to college when it comes to skill development. Now if we move over to online animation school, you focus on one thing, and so you become very good at that one thing. Hopefully you do at least. Compared to college, where you probably have like 9 courses in a year and like 5 days a week, and you'll likely won't even get 1 day to dedicate to what you want to focus on. And a lot of times, just because you have so many different assignments for so many different classes, I don't know, I keep moving my hands so much, you might actually have to half-fast on projects just due to time constraints. Even if you're like the most dedicated student, when you have, you know, deadlines up to your neck, you might be forced to half-ass projects and you know, not be able to focus on that one thing you really want to focus. So that's a positive for online school, in my opinion. And so for skill development, we're going to give college and online school 1 point each. So the next category is focus. Now this kind of is similar to the last category that we had. So in college, they love to focus on grades, and so they grade you, and how well you are doing and how good you are depends on what grade they gave you, and like what your overall grade is. Let me just tell you, it doesn't matter. And none of the studios I've been to, none of the studios that I know of care what grades you graduated with. It doesn't matter at all. All that matters is the potential you show and the hard work that comes through in your work. So don't worry about the grades at all. Pass, but don't worry about the grades, and just focus on the best work you can produce, best work that you can do to land the job once you graduated. So focus on that one thing that you really want to focus on. Half-ass the rest if you need to, but try and create the best thing you can for that one thing you want to get a job in. And don't worry about your grades, because it literally doesn't matter at all. It is a backward system and you don't need to worry about those. And so in my opinion, that's kind of a negative when it comes to college. You don't have a focus at all. The focus is grades, which is, you know, no one cares about grades once you're outside of the school. And so when we take this to online school, the focus in online school is to produce quality work, which is what you need in an industry. It's so flexible. You can even let your instructor know what you think you're weak at and what you yourself would like to focus on. And when they're giving you critiques, when they're giving you feedback, they can focus on what you mentioned. You can focus on what you think your weakness is. In my opinion, that's a plus for online school. So that gives us a 1 to 0 for online school when it comes to focus. Alright, so where are we at? The 4th point. So this point is going to be community. So we're going to start off with college. In college, you can learn a lot from your peers, and it's a really great space, especially when you're there in person. It's a really great space to create connections, and it's a very small industry, so chances are you're going to be working with the majority of your classmates that you're in class with right now. So when you create those connections and your let's say you don't land the job, if some of your classmates land the job, you have an inside man. And so what's happening is, if that company is looking for someone and you'd be a great candidate, your friend can let you know before they start looking publicly. And so you'll have an edge. And if they put in a good word for you, you'll have another edge, because companies rather hire someone who has been recommended than someone who they know nothing about. So if you have someone working at a company that you're applying to, they sign a reference sheet for you and, you know, recommend you, then you have like a really big edge to actually get that job at the company. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to online school, community isn't really as strong as it would be in college. You don't really develop those strong relationships with the other students, mainly because it's digital. You know, right now we're all working digitally, most of us. All right, so long story short, we're all working digitally now, and let me tell you, I just started at a new company, completely digital. I've never been to the studio. This is my first time where I haven't gone to a studio of a company that I work at, like, ever. And so it's actually proving to be a little bit difficult for me to make some meaningful connections with my coworkers. They're all nice people from what I can see, but it's different when you're there at the studio. You can't really catch someone's vibe through a camera. Like most amount of screen time I would get with my team at my new company is like 10-15 minutes of like a group of us every 2 days. You know, that's not, you can't really like, I don't know, you can't really connect on a deep level like that. So at my previous studio, almost instantly I became really good friends with everyone in my lane. But now I don't have a lane. You know, it's just a group of us who we see like the pictures of. So long story short, it's really hard to make meaningful connections online, digitally, when you never met the person. So in this case, college gets a point and 0 points for online school. All right, so this next point is accessibility. You know, I'm gonna sit up a little bit. I feel like a fat ass just hunched down on my chair. Okay, so accessibility. When it comes to college, we're gonna take a look at this from two different directions. So you get access to software and computer if you don't have a computer yourself. So in that sense, there's very good access. But when it comes to accessibility, you might have to commute like very long distances. At university, I had to commute a total of 3.5 hours a day. So it was like an hour and like 40 minutes there, an hour and 40 minutes back, sometimes more, depending on traffic. That burns you out, especially if you're in animation school. Animation school is tough, and so if you're commuting long hours and you're there late nights, you're gonna turn into a zombie. But still, you know, having access to computers and software, which is covered by your tuition, we'll give that a point to college. Now, when you go to online school, there's no commute. As long as you have an internet connection, you're set. You don't even have to be in the same country, you know? So internet, anywhere, online school. So for accessibility, we're gonna give 1 point to each. College, 1 point. Online school, 1 point. Okay, what do we have? Flexibility. So college is definitely not flexible. You'd have to commit your days to your assignments and your homework, pretty much regardless of what's happening in your life. You know, there's situations where you can contact your professor, but that's usually reliant on how lenient the professor is. So I would say college is not flexible at all. So you can't really mold the college around your life. You know, if you have to go to work at a certain time and do something at a certain time, you're gonna have a hard time going to college. And when it comes to online school, you can do things at your own pace usually. There might be some restrictions with people being on different time zones, but outside of that, you're free to do as you please, when you please, as long as you get the assignments done. So I'm gonna say that's a point for online school. And now the last point is landing a job. Which one will land you a job? So for college, your edge is that you have a lot of connections. You have a lot more connections than someone who went to online school, and your friends might already be working at companies. And so that gives you a big edge of actually getting into that company. On the other hand, if you went to online school, you have a lot more honed skill. Your skills are a lot more honed, and so you'll likely be higher skilled on whatever your focus was than someone who went to college. And that'll be your edge of getting into the industry, being higher skilled, again, on that one particular focus of yours. So I'd say in this case, they both give you an edge, just in different ways. So we'll give a point to each.
Finish him. Fatality.
All right, and by the look of things, it looks like online school wins. Okay, but in all honesty, I think it's very situational. If you're new to the animation world and you live close to an animation college, animation university, and you have the funds, I'd say go for it. Go dabble in all the little aspects of animation and see what you like, see what you don't like, make those connections, because those connections are going to be huge for you. And afterwards, if you feel like you haven't had enough focus on whatever your interests turn out to be, then maybe you can take a few courses of online school to just hone those down. And that's what I would suggest. Otherwise, if your situation is different, if you don't have the funds, if you don't live close to an animation school and you have to become international, and again, you don't have the funds for that, then I would suggest online school. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, all that matters is how good you are at your craft. And so another option is if you don't have the funds and you don't live near a animation school, and you're new to the animation industry and to just the animation world, and you don't know what you want to do, maybe you can take some smaller courses of different parts of the industry and test those out. That'll probably still be cheaper than going to college, taking multiple courses. So do that, figure out what you like, then maybe get a few more courses in whatever your interest may be. That's another option. And yeah, again, end of the day, completely situational. You need a fire under your ass, college. If you can get work done by yourself and you're dedicated, online school. And it's all these different things. It all completely depends on you, what you need, and what your personality is like. So the choice is up to you. I gave you the pros and cons of both, and the rest is up to you. And with all that out of the way, happy animating, and I will see you guys in the next video.